So
Okay.
so this is a cup I made for the second round of recording. So kind of a simple back and front. But what I wanted to show you was maybe I'll do it on the other cup. Is not quite so interesting. Is that if you, once it gets leather hard, so it's not smeary, then you can let's see how I can, maybe I'll plug in the camera now so I can do it down here. And I am recording. Good, good, good. All well. Get the plug in the right side up. Okay. Now we'll share the screen. Advanced. Share. See if this does it. Okay, now it should.
What is that?
Switch the camera. Okay.
It looks like the earth.
Looks like the earth. So if it's not, the design's not showing up so well, or if you want more of the design to show up.
Yeah.
Because you do have all these layers in here, if you cut a little bit off, you start getting more design.
Oh.
And if you cut, where do I want to cut deeper? If you cut deeper into it, you'll cut, see how I'm uncovering more layers.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same thing that Sean and Larry do with their cups, you know, forest.
Yeah.
Because he does layering with slip, and then, what am I doing? And then when he cuts through, well, there, nothing showed up there, but you can see on this one, I've gotten through the top dark layer.
Yeah.
And then it's going to, well, actually the top dark layer is too thick.
I was wondering if I could sand it off and it would do that. Mine is really very bland compared to what you.
So see how I uncovered this
Oh, that's, yeah.
stripe here by just cutting a little deeper.
Uh-huh.
And so, yeah, so if yours is very bland, take a carving tool to it, because you can get more designs by carving, you know, carving through it. You'll get the multiple clays, because when you think about it, you've got all those layers.
Right.
Even under this very plain outer layer, there's lurking behind.
So if mine is hard already, is there any way to mine those layers?
It's too hard to trim off at all.
Oh yeah, it's dry.
It's dry. Okay, yes, you can sand it and see if how that works. It may work just fine. You just don't want to muddy your colors. I mean,
yeah. Well, what are we going to do when we're going to glaze them? Are we going to not glaze them?
Yes, you could.
Okay.
You could not glaze. See, so by cutting deeper, these lines that came straight down now to the side.
Uh-huh.
You know, I imagine you can figure out what you're going to get, but why bother with that? It's fun just to see.
Yeah.
See what you get. So try sanding. Okay. And sanding would certainly open up the look at the surface. When it's really dry, I don't think that the sanding is going to muddy the colors at all.
Okay, I'll try it.
So
I'll try it.
Yeah, so you can try that, and try, you know, if you do any more layering. If you don't, then you're like me. Have a couple of cups and see if anybody wants them. But anyway, I did have fun with, I like these, doing the come back, doing the circles and stuff. I found that fun. Oh, good, Jody's here.
So here's the other one that's still moist that I just cut into a circle.
Oh, nice.
I don't know what I'm going to do with it. You know, it's like,
You know what, you could bevel the edge of it and that would show stripes around the edge then.
okay, I'll try that.
Yeah. Hi, Jody.
Hi there.
I'm recording.
Okay.
Watch
I'll
what
watch
you
what I
say.
say.
Yeah. And I was just showing Jan and Suzanne how with these cups I remade, you can start, once they're leather hard, you can trim off little bits. Oops, I don't have the other camera on right now. Let me switch cameras again. So you can trim off more and reveal layers underneath.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so you could use a carving tool also and really cut into it. I was saying like Sean and Larry do in their cups, which are layered with by slip
Oh, yeah.
casting. They're not
So what-
layered.
What color clays did you use in that cup?
I think, well, I used the Idaho buff, so the speckled clay and the lightly speckled clay. And I think I used either Oregon brown or Oregon red,
Uh-huh.
but I don't remember actually.
But the buff one, the speckled one is the lighter one we see
Yeah.
there?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, if your piece is still, so here are the little, you can see the little striped pieces I carved off, but it reveals, since it's all layered underneath, when you cut into it, you cut into the layers. So just wanted to show everybody that.
Nice.
And then we'll get started on these boxes, which I wonder, I didn't hear from everybody. That sounds like Oak's not coming and I haven't heard from Laura. So but we'll just, I can drag this, interesting, this has stayed on this time. Other times it's been covered up. I don't know, they may be changing, Zoom may be changing stuff too, is what my daughter had said, which makes sense. You know, they keep updating things and things change and they don't, well, if I understood more about it, I suppose maybe they do tell us, but they didn't notify my head about how things are changing, but this seems better. So I hope you have a piece of clay rolled out. I have a piece here, and like I said in my notes, you can either have a square that you cut, so you can just cut around the square and shift it around to get, you only want to cut 4 sides. How many is 4? 4 sides, because the top and the bottom will do just like we do the bottom of a jar. We'll set the 4 sides down and trace on the inside and put a coil and then slip it and put the cube to make the box. I don't feel as if I'm being very clear.
Are we going to be making a top for this box?
So what we do with this box, yes, the answer is yes. The top is made as you make the box.
Okay.
So did everybody make a cardboard square, or are some of you using a ruler?
I'm using a ruler.
Okay, so I would suggest that you not make it any larger than 4 inches. Jan, you've had lots of experience with clay though, so if you want to make yours a little bigger, but you need to get 4 equal pieces out of your slab. And then the bottom and the top, we can re-roll to get the bottom and the top.
Okay.
So as you're doing this, don't make your corners right on the edge, because the edge is always, you know, a little different thickness from the rest of it.
Mhm.
And you don't want your corners to be thicker or thinner than the rest if you can avoid it. I mean, some, you know, a little difference doesn't matter, but the same is the best. The same thickness is always the best. So I'm going to cut out 4 squares out of my piece.
Okay.
Yeah, Suzanne, we're actually going to make a enclosed cube and then cut off the top.
Oh, okay. You know, I'm still struggling with my top of my box.
I know.
It's drying now, so we shall see.
We shall see.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I made 2 boxes. This lady wanted to buy one of my boxes that she saw a picture of on my website. So I made 2, but one of them, the seam cracked in the final firing. So I have 1. I
Bummer.
told her I'd make 2 and then she could choose, but
Hmm.
she can't choose. Unless she wants to wait. I told her, I just sent her an email and said, well, I'm making another one. So, but I'm going to send her pictures of the successful box.
So how many squares are we getting, Mary Jane?
4, because these
4.
are going to be the 4 sides of your box.
Okay.
And of course, when you do this on your own, it doesn't have to be a square box. And actually, this will not be a square box because it's going to be slightly taller
Mm-hmm.
because of adding the bottom and the top slab
Got it.
to it. So, okay. Then I'm going to stack my extra clay
Mm-hmm.
and cover it.
Okay.
So my clay set up nicely overnight, even though I covered it top and bottom with plastic. But the studio was fairly warm because the kiln was cooling down. And yes, Jody, you do have pieces.
Oh, yay.
I'm sure you do. I haven't unloaded the kiln yet, but I know you had pieces in. And I think everybody had something. Everybody of the 3 of you had something in.
Yes.
Is there time to come by tomorrow and glaze?
And glaze? Is that what you said?
Yeah,
I did bring my calendar out.
you don't have to
here.
check now. We can do it later.
Right. Yeah, I might have some time. I have a 4 o'clock Zoom with the Visual Arts Committee tomorrow, so.
Well, we can talk later about that.
Yeah, so I'm going to cover these extra pieces and I'm going to tuck the plastic around the edge because putting the 4 sides together takes a few minutes. So I want to keep,
So we have 4 pieces right now, right?
yeah, 1, 2, 3, and
Okay.
4. They're my 4 pieces, okay?
Mhm.
So we're going to take our scratchy tool and I'm going to start by getting my hair off of it. Although hair will just burn out if you end up having a hair in a seam or something, you don't need to really worry about it.
Okay.
So I'm going to start by paying attention to which side I like the best. Usually the top side that was where the rolling pin, where you rolled the rolling pin is the smoothest. So that's usually the side I put out, but that's not always true. You know, but I check to see which side I'm going to have on the outside. And the texture is slightly different. So I think it's good to pay a little bit of attention and notice. Of course, if you're burnishing it like Katya does, then you don't need to worry about that at all. So this
Can you get your hands more in the center of the
can certainly, I would think so. Here, let me.
cut off at the bottom?
All funny because
Oh, okay.
They're stretching. It must be too soft. Oh, well, whatever.
There, that's great.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, I'm wondering, maybe I need to get my camera even higher. I don't know. Have it on a box as it is. So this is going to be my inside and this is my inside. I'm going to score this. It happens to be my right-hand side here on the shortcut side.
Shortcut side.
Yeah, not a large side, this end, the end of it.
What? Sorry.
So I'm not doing this side or this side. I'm doing the cut side, the little end.
The edge.
The edge, thank you, the edge.
But they all have edges. So.
Well, yeah, so you pick one. You're starting with one.
Okay, pick
It's
one.
laying down. The outside side is down away from me against the board. The inside is here and I scored along this edge. Thank you.
Okay, got it.
And then this is going to be the second one I use. And I'm going to score on the top left-hand side because I'm going to put it together like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to score along that edge. We are going to reinforce all of the seams on the inside. So you don't need to worry too much about if you score and and some of it's showing on the inside, that will all get taken care of.
Oh. Somebody.
Message, sorry. Okay, I told him, sorry, I can't talk right now.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to take some slip and put it either place, it doesn't matter, just paint it along this scored edge. Now, the bigger a box you make, the stiffer your clay needs to be. Mine's pretty, you can see it's standing up pretty nice and straight, but it's still very, easy to work with. So I'm going to push this together here.
Oh, mine's very floppy.
Very floppy. Well, you can help that out by getting a can or something that you can lean it against
Okay.
to help it stand up, because I flipped it. Did you see me do that? So I started out like this. And you just have to figure out what works the best for you.
Okay.
This works the best for me. I'm going to flip it up so that this side, you can see, is attached on top of the bottom one now. Because this next one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick my outside one, and then I'm going to put this against that edge.
Okay.
So I'm going to repeat the same thing I just did. I'm going to score this outside edge. This way, each side of your box has just one seam. Now you could decide that you'd rather have two seams on two sides and no seams on two sides, it doesn't matter to me. It's just a preference. And hopefully, unlike my one box where this seam split, hopefully the seams won't ever show when they're finished anyway, so. That's what we hope for. But boxes are tricky and they like to open up. So now I'm going to put this one, tip it up and press it against the bottom one.
Oh.
I
Now
guess
the-
it just comes with experience, but I always end up nicking my stuff with my nail or my knuckle or something.
Yep, I do quite a bit of that too. But usually you can almost always fix that, especially when the clay is
Squishy.
squishy. Yes. And I keep my, I keep my fingernails really short, but
Okay. All right. I get what we're going to do. Just
okay, so now this is my outside of my last one. And as you can see, this edge is, you can't see it very well from the camera, but this edge is one thickness lower than this edge. And if you're too floppy, you can have another can over here to hold up. So this is going to fit on like this, right? With this edge showing and this edge
Yeah.
covered, right? So I'm going to score again. Let me get this in view. Whoop. Score this
I'm
edge.
gonna watch for a while and let this dry out a little.
Sure.
It's really floppy.
And that's another reason to not, if your clay is really floppy, then make a smaller box. And
Okay.
that's one way. So it's this edge gets scored and the inside. So this edge and the inside of this and this top edge and the inside here, right? Whoops, the inside. Whoop, inside here. So I'm going to set this down because I'm being awkward. Move this a little more to the center. Score the inside of this one. And the top edge of this side of the right-hand side. And then I already scored the edge of that one, so I just need to score the underneath side of this slab.
Ah!
Yes.
Never mind. Not worth talking about.
I'll have to, at some point when we're at a good pausing place, I'll show you. You've probably all seen the blue box that I have that I ended up saving because it's a really nice, simple example of just what we're doing now, but it's not square. Some of the sides are quite curved. They ripple in and out a little bit. What did I just do? I just with this talking, I put slip on both sides on one side, but shouldn't matter. As you're getting rid of your seams, your box can easily become less square. So this is not going to be supported this way, so I'm going to flip it this way. Now I can press this edge against that side. And this edge, oops, I'll do it so you can see this edge against that side. I'm going to tighten these up a little bit, and then I'm going to flip the whole thing over carefully. See if I can. Come on.
That's the trick.
Again, these are all things that are simpler to do if your box isn't too large. It was the larger box that I made that split its corners. Silly thing. And I'm going to start.
Yeah.
Let's see if you can, I'm going to start smoothing this a little bit, pulling some of the clay, from over the seam. So, let's see. So you can see I'm pulling the clay to heal that seam on the outside. I'm trying to see if there you can see it better that way. So we don't have any diagonal cuts here. So smoothing is a little bit trickier, but still very possible. Oops, I'm falling apart there at the bottom. I can feel it coming. I think I need to stand up, get my hand in here. So I'm just trying to get it to hold together at this point so that I can add the bottom and add interior coils to reinforce these seams.
Mhm.
Whoops. Okay. So now that I have the basic sides of my box, probably a good idea to flip it over and tighten up the top edges a little bit. Because every little bit that you can help it seam together, hold together, it'll just make it easier later on. But we're still mostly tacking it. Okay. So I'm going to take out my remaining piece. Looks like it's not going to be quite big enough to make a top and a bottom, but so I'm going to have to re-roll, which I'd rather not do, but there you are. So I'm going to set this on here. And at this point, I'm straightening, looking at the square shape in the bottom and straightening my sides. But like I said, they don't have to be perfect. It looks cool if it's not quite square. At least that's my opinion. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm going to trace the inside. And on those last cups I made, I traced the inside and I traced the outside so that I could score underneath the wall of the cup, in this case, the wall of the box, and slip that after I put the coil. So I'm going to cut off this piece.
I can't see inside mine.
So here's my squishy scratchy. So I'm going to score inside. This is for my inside coil on the bottom. Suzanne, did you get your first vaccination?
I did.
Did you have any reactions?
It was a real hard reaction. It was alarming.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was, well, my shoulder was sore initially, and then I went at 10:30 in the morning. By 3 o'clock, my whole shoulder area felt like it was on fire. And then the feeling kind of crept up the side of my neck.
Ooh.
And it felt like there was a hot hand on my neck,
Oh my gosh.
my
Ooh.
whole shoulder. And of course, then I had chills, but my temperature dropped down to 96 something.
Uh-huh.
It was just really bizarre. And then, I felt really lousy. And the next day, it was not actually that evening, it sort of broke 8 o'clock or so. It's like the heat went away. Anyway, so the next couple of days were, um, just sore, and I had a bloody nose for a couple days,
Huh.
which I never get bloody. It wasn't like a bloody nose. It was more like lots of blood boogers.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, it took 3 full days to get over it. It was intense.
Hmm.
But most of my friends are saying, oh no, I just had a really sore shoulder, a little bit of flu-y symptoms.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, mine felt really intense. Hey, how about you guys? Did any of you were you able to get a hold of the county? And
She said, we did talk, a very nice lady called us back, or the lady whose number you gave us called us back from the fire station and said, at this point, the only way to get one is to go online on Friday at 5, and
Yeah.
they'll open the additional doses that they have, spots that they have. But she said, yeah, it's going to be kind of like trying to get a ferry on the 4th of July.
yeah,
And, oh, wait. I have to put down my coil. I have a hard time talking and,
okay,
no, not that hard, but
Yeah, so the coil goes on top of the scoring there. Okay.
yeah, and inside of your line.
Yeah, okay.
So,
has anyone else had a vaccination?
no, I haven't. Our son did. And
How was his?
he's 38. He said his arm got really, really sore at the site of the vaccination.
Mhm.
And he's an athlete too. I mean, he's a PT, but he plays volleyball all the time and stuff. He said it was like a really bad sucker punch in his arm, and it was hard. And he said, but it didn't debilitate him at all. He could still do everything he wanted to do with his arm. It just really hurt.
Yeah,
And he said that just lasted for about a day, and then no chills.
yeah.
He said the extremely sore arm is the most common side effect.
Yeah, it kept me from sleeping one night.
Mhm.
I couldn't sleep because of the pain. I got up and took some aspirin.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But my friend told me that she thinks that the second one is supposed to have more of a reaction than the first one.
Oh, really?
Does that make sense? It seems like your body would already be kind of adjusted. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll ask my doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, the second one is supposed to be more reactive to the
The
second one.
second one is?
That's what I've heard. I haven't
Oh,
had one.
boy. I'm not looking forward to it. Maybe I won't do the second one.
Oh,
Geez.
you should do it.
What did your,
God, Mary Jane, it was so hard.
what did your doctor
Yeah,
say?
but so imagine if you got corona.
Yeah.
I know, right.
I think that would be harder.
Yeah, you're right.
So Mary
Okay.
Jane, you smushed down your coil in there, didn't you?
Yeah, I smushed down the inside of the coil. So this burr sticking up is ready to push up the inside of my square, my walls. So I place it down over it like that. But first, this is what I keep forgetting to do. First, because the walls of my box are going to be sticking down here, right? I'm going to score outside the coil that I just secured and put some slip on that too. Because I noticed I wasn't doing that. And then the edges of my cup, didn't,
Seal.
just took more to get them to stick. And I thought, why didn't I put any slip in there? But I'd already, brought the coil up the inside edge. So it was too late. And I did that a couple of times before I started remembering to do what I just almost forgot to do again, which is this step. Put a little more slip down because this will stick the edge of the squares walls. Boxes, walls, it'll stick them down nicely. So I'll go like this. Whoop. And then I'm going to cut off this extra, and alas, I wish I had another nice, maybe I can just roll this out to be big enough. Maybe just thin it a little, although it's better to have them all the same thickness, right?
Mhm.
Says your teacher. So now I'm going to take this fat edge and support, let me scooch this a little more this way, support on the outside at the bottom and smooth this, pull this up. Can you see how I'm doing that?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Still a step behind here.
That's. And if there's not much light. So I'm missing, seems like I'm missing a little clay there in the corner. So I'm just going to add a little piece. And I may want some that's a little softer. So I took it from, you can always add more. Where you need it. And I'm going to use my tool to get that coil into the corner. I can't see it either. There's no light. It's like a dark cavern down there. I'm going to turn on a few more lights. I don't think it's going to, there, help some. Oh, that helps quite a bit.
We should wear little headlights that point down into what we're
Yeah,
doing.
I have one. I could get it. Not right now, but it's a good idea. Wear my little camping headlight, as if I did go camping once this year, but not a lot of camping recently. Turns out, so when I met Bruce, we did a whole bunch of camping with his sister, who was a good friend of mine, and brother-in-law, who's also a good friend of mine. And I thought, oh, this is so great. Bruce loves camping. No, wrong.
Doesn't? Oh,
It was courting camping.
oh. He tricked you.
Yes, he did. But it's okay. It was a good trick. It worked. But I always loved waking up in the morning camping
Yeah,
and hearing all the sounds.
I like everything about camping. I love it.
Yeah, I did have an opportunity to go with friends, actually this September with April and Jeff.
Oh, I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, we went over to Jones Island and it was
Uh-huh.
wonderful. Just one night. Second night would have been fine. I don't think I'd be up for long-term camping, but I slept better than I thought I would. It's been so long since I've slept on the ground. I was a little concerned, but knowing that you can do anything for one night, right? Even feel
Right.
lousy from your vaccination. Okay, so now we need to reinforce these inside seams, inside edges. So I'm going to see if I can possibly get a big enough square without re-rolling the whole thing, but I don't know. Just going to see if I can stretch this a little and still have it thick enough.
You're going to cut another square now? Is that what you're doing?
Well, eventually I'm going to turn this over and we're going to put the top on. But see, it's not, oh, so close.
Oh, that's big enough.
Almost, it's not quite, needs just a little
Oh.
more. I know, really. But my clay's stiff enough that I think it will, it'll be okay. But it's definitely going to be thinner. Okay, so I'm going to cover this. Please take one of these out to make some coils for my edge seams, right? Or what, I'm not sure what to call them, up and down
Mhm.
vertical seams.
It's just a tiny bit too small.
Come on, camera.
So did you cut that? Did you cut that square?
No, I still have left no, because we're going to fasten this side. We're going to turn it over and fasten it to just like we did the bottom.
Okay, got it. So we just need to make sure it was big enough to.
I was just seeing if it was big enough before I got started on the edge. So I'm holding this down to where it's smoothed in the bottom. And then I'm just going to pinch off this piece here. I'm
Ah,
going to do just a little bit of scoring up this corner, pulling a little bit of clay from one side to the other, and then painting a little bit of slip in here. And then putting the coil in. And supporting the seam on the outside, right? Now the seam isn't right at the corner edge, is it? The seam is
Oh, yeah.
just inside. But so I'm pushing on both sides at the same time. Whoops, and there it pulled out a little bit. Ah, and there it pulled out a lot. So that's what you're trying to avoid. And I'm spreading the top of the coil over the corner here. But you don't have to do that. I ended up with a little extra, and that doesn't hurt. You know, the more reinforcing you can do, the better, I think. And then I'm going to you can take your, let's see if I can turn so you can take your finger and smooth it, or you can take the end of your tool and again press it to one side and the other side, because you want to blend it in on both sides, just like we did on the bottom seam. How are we doing? Not too badly. I was thinking, well, I was thinking probably, so anyway, tell you what I was thinking in a minute. So once I have it spread around with my tool, then I reach in and smooth it with my finger and check to see that it's smoothed into either side. Can you see it's here? Smoothed into either side of the crack. I missed a little edge here. I think, and I don't know if you can see it, the crack showed up on the outside here. So rather than just leave it, I'm going to take care of that right now, get rid of that crack. And I'm not going to worry too much if this gets a little off of square. Doesn't really matter, because we're going to cut the bottom to fit it, right? So, Okay, so now seam 2. It's going to say for cutting off the top, I may just demonstrate that, and then you may want to wrap your box in double plastic till tomorrow, and then cut it off then. May work a little better.
So it is. It's a little better here. Okay.
How long do you think I'll have to wait before mine's not so floppy and I can work with it? You think this evening?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
think,
I'm just sitting here waiting.
I know. I mean, it may be in an hour
Okay,
or half an hour or so.
okay.
It depends on how dry and how warm your house is, you know?
My clay is thicker than yours also. I think I went
Uh-huh.
overboard.
Mine's really thick too.
Yeah. Let's see, mine
Well-
is how thick it is.
I think that's definitely a better way if it's going to be too thick or too thin, too thick is definitely better,
Yeah,
especially
it's
for a
more-
box.
More than a 1/4 inch, maybe a quarter plus a 16th anyway.
Yeah, that's a little,
It's fat.
yeah, I said a fat 3/8, between 3/8 and a quarter is usually a good thickness for,
Oh, well, too late now.
too late now for cups and for for most things.
Uh-huh. 3/8, okay, a little more than a
3/8.
quarter.
Mhm.
Okay. 3/8.
Well,
Yeah.
let me see how thick mine is.
No, I can tell by looking that yours is not as thick. Mine is, let's
Yeah,
see.
mine's just over a quarter. It's like a quarter and a 16th.
Yeah. Yours looks much thinner than mine.
Isn't that?
5/16.
Oh, wait, no, I was, never mind. I was using the centimeter side.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Mine's 3/16 of an inch.
Oh,
I said it wrong. It's not a quarter of an inch. It's less than a quarter of an inch.
Okay,
Quarter of an
that looks more like it makes more sense.
Yeah, I said that. I'm sorry. I said that wrong because a quarter of an inch is really thick.
See, mine's a big chunky thing.
Yeah.
See that?
Thick. I know.
Big and chunky.
Big and chunky.
It'll be a weapon after I'm done.
Yeah, I have quite a few pieces like that from when I was learning. The weaponized clay.
I got a whole bunch of pieces I could use for that.
Mm-hmm. It's good. You can use them as door stops, and then if
Oh, there you go.
somebody tries to get in that you don't want, it's right there handy to whack them with. So yeah, so 3/16. How about that? A fat
Okay.
3/16.
Yeah. Let's see.
Let's see how big mine is. It's pretty thick.
1.
It's
Quarter.
3/8 is more than a quarter.
Yeah, thank you.
2/8 is a quarter.
That's right. I just was not thinking clearly.
I know I was figuring it out earlier, so.
Well, that would have been a good thing. I thought I'd figured it out earlier.
4/16. 4. So mine is 5/16, almost 6/16.
Mhm.
That's all right. It'll work. I just
It'll
have to wait for it to dry.
So I'm rolling another coil to go in my last 2
Corners.
Boring class.
No, I'm just tired.
Oh, I know, I'm kidding. I hope it's not too boring, but this is a complicated, more complicated one.
It's good to watch you doing it.
Oh, good.
I went to the mainland yesterday, and that always makes me a little tired.
Oh, yeah, it's more exhausting than it seems like it should be.
Yeah, but I got my glasses, so that's what was
Yeah.
good.
Oh, great. Yeah, I have to go, not next week, but the week after it looks as if I have some secondary cataracts, which
Oh.
happens to 30 or 40% of the people who have their cataracts removed.
Oh, so it comes back again?
Yeah, and I don't know if they know why,
Uh-huh.
but it's very common, and they don't have to redo anything. They just use a laser and can get rid of it.
Oh, so they go inside your eyeball?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
With a laser, yeah, and
Well, that's good.
yeah, but I have to go twice because the first time I called them and told them what I was experiencing, and they said, "Oh, that may be what it is."
Oh,
But so they'll check it and and then make an appointment to fix it. But
do
I
they
know,
do surgery there?
yeah, in Bellingham.
Oh, okay.
But I know a couple people who've had it done. They said, "Oh yeah, it takes a couple minutes. It's just really quick."
Uh-huh.
And then they say it doesn't happen again. It's just a one-time
Uh-huh.
deal. So
Yeah. Well, it's good to know they can redo it. That's good.
yeah. Okay, so I'm on my last corner. Getting in my own light here. Let's score that up. So by pulling a little bit of the coil over this seam, you can probably still see this seam is weak. That really helps reinforce my corners too.
1, 2, 3, 4. Try this.
Oh, shoot. Dash.
Pull it to one side, pull it to the other side. Spread around the reinforcing. So on the inside, all the corners end up being rounded.
Mhm.
And then on the outside, you can adjust them. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut off the excess here on the bottom. Unlike cups where, where we slant in at a diagonal, I'm going to work to cut this on a straight line. So it's better to have a longer knife to do that. If it slants in a little bit, of course, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to try to cut straight down with a vertical. But it looks like I cut in a little bit anyway, but that'll be okay. It's clay. So I'm just cutting off the excess, just as if this were a cup. Or you could make, a box planter, if if you wanted to stop at this point. Sometimes when, oops, sorry, I'm out of the view of the camera. When you're cutting along and you're getting toward, come on, this way now. You're getting toward the corner, it can pull, pull the clay out. So I try to hold my finger there to stop it from stretching too much. As you reach the edge, if you hold your finger there, cut to your finger, then you won't stretch the clay out. See if I can demonstrate it here. Once you've once this side is cut, this side here is cut, then it may kind of pull it off. So I'm going to hold my finger there and cut to my finger. Keep it a little more under control. Okay. So there's now I have my box. I'm going to have to mend this seam on the outside. And it's not perfectly square. It kind of curves in here, but that's okay. So here's this piece that I'm so hopeful is big enough. I'm going to put it on. Woo. So I'm doing exactly what I told you not to do. It's coming really, really close. Oh, here. See how close to the edges it is? But I'm going to go for it. So I'm going to draw the outside edge. So this time I can't draw the inside, right?
Right.
So I'm not going to worry about it because we will add that coil after we cut the top off. So I'm just going to score this.
So is the coil going to fit down inside of the box?
When we cut the top off, we'll be able to see all the corners. So no, I'm not going to put a coil on this. I'm going to do it afterwards. Because, well, yeah, because I wouldn't be able to fasten the inside part. I could do the first side, but anyway, this is the way I learned to do it. So
is this going to be a solid box?
it's going to be for a moment.
And then we could have cut the lid off.
And then we're going to cut the lid off and fix the inside. Make a flange. Remember, oops, remember how we made that flange for the jar?
Yeah, I missed that. I missed that class.
Okay,
Yeah, I haven't looked at it.
but it's on YouTube now.
Okay, I'll look for it.
And I'll demonstrate it again, but how are we doing? We're doing sort of okay. So I'm going to press that in place. I'm going to cut off some of this extra, but I'm not cutting it to fit yet because I want to give it a few more minutes. And I want to do this. Okay, so, well, this is setting up a little bit. I'll show you the box I'll show you the old box. Let's see, I'm going to switch the camera. So this is the box that sits on the shelf.
Oh, that's nice. Oh,
So
I
you can
see.
see, look how, here,
Yeah,
so-
I do remember seeing that. Okay.
but look how curved. It's not, here, it's not square at all. It
Uh-huh.
curves up here and it curves out here.
Right.
But I think it makes it look much more interesting.
Oh, yeah. It looks handmade. Yes.
And it has kind of has a lot of fun form to it. So, and you can see how it's quite a bit, where are we? Quite a bit taller than it is square. The bottom's a little square, but it's not even square at all.
It's funny because I've thought about that box and I wondered how you did that. So now I know.
This
Okay.
is it. This is how we do this.
Okay.
So I'm going to smooth, well, I'm letting that set up a little bit. I'm going to real quickly, oh, I should switch the camera again. Switch. Really quickly smooth the edges of this top piece in. And you can, I don't know if you can see, Suzanne, I nicked that one with something,
Yeah.
fingernail or something. And this one's hanging over a little bit, but I think rather than cut it off, I'm just going to smooth that clay in. Because probably actually in this corner is, where can you see it? This corner is pretty curved in, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. My main concern is to not have these edges show,
Yeah.
to make each side of the box kind of one complete plane. So on this part, this interior wall was sticking out a little, and this is the edge.
Uh-huh.
So I'm smoothing that off more. And you can see this is overhanging a little bit. So I'm going to smooth that down. Smooth this edge in, this top edge in a little bit. And this one, this side shows really a lot. Looks like the top, which was the bottom, is really overhanging there. So got some work to do there. In the meantime, I don't want to leave those gaps for too long. Better to mend them in perfectly and then go back and refine them than leave them open too long. Did I get this edge? I guess I did, kind of. Okay. So now I'm going to flatten, here, let's do it this way. Flatten out this bottom piece because as I was tipping it, it got all bent up around the bottom. So I'm going to flatten it and see if I move it over here, you can see better. Get this figure. I'll get this Zoom stuff figured out just in time for us to quit doing it. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, are we trimming it now right next to the box?
We're trimming it. Yeah, we're trimming it right next to the box.
Okay.
We're getting rid of the extra on the second bottom.
Okay.
And again, I'm doing my best to just cut straight down. Sometimes I'm leaving a little more than I want. Sometimes I'm cutting off a little more than I want to. So
Yeah.
let's scooch this. It's annoying because the camera's making a shadow too. I mean, really, come on.
We could still tell what's going on.
Good. Yeah, good. Maybe better than I can. I keep looking up at the screen to see if your guys are able to see. Then I lose track of what I'm doing. Okay, so there is. I'm gonna gather these up. They may be useful for the flange or for a handle. Although if it gets too dry, you want to use something a little wetter for the flange because it can be a little tricky, especially if you have a box that's more curved. So now we have a complete cube, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start smoothing. This was the bottom, right? I'm putting it on its side because it's a little easier. But it doesn't matter. And I bumped my corner. Now this one edge seems pretty thin. Of course, I'm the one who rolled it out, right? Okay. I'm setting this on something because every time I turn it, I seem to have the same bump in the corner. I don't know if there's a piece of clay or something on my board. I'm not noticing. But that's easy to fix. Okay. So it doesn't really matter what once you have your cube, you can make any side the top or the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you cut it open, you're going to have to repair the parts, or not repair, but fill the cracks that don't have any reinforcing in them. And it doesn't matter too much if they're top or bottom or side. So you can look at your box, at your cube, and choose what's going to be the top.
Ah,
If you're really unhappy with a side, make it the bottom, for heaven's sakes, if it's kind of screwed up or something. Okay. I'm going to get the turntable, which I forgot to bring over. Okay. So I have this cube and I want to make an interesting cut. But I've often erred, or several times, I haven't made that many boxes, erred on the side of making the cut too complex, thinking, oh, I'll just make it all wavy and wonderful and incredible. And it ends up, I'm looking for a pencil now, ends up spoiling the look of the box. So here's a pencil. So I'm going to try to, let's see if I can do it. I think this may be a better way to do it from the side for the moment. Let's see if I can do this. So this box, it's really quite a simple curve on each side.
yeah.
And it ends up being kind of elegant, and I enlarged it with the raw clay to keep the glaze from sticking the whole thing together. But I didn't do anything too elaborate, and actually that worked out really well. I have done a couple others that were really difficult to manage, where I was just way too elaborate. You want to leave enough space so that you're not cutting into your top or your bottom, whichever it happens to be. So I'm going to draw a line down like that. And then a line up a little closer. See there, I'm trying to make a mountain. I don't know if I should do that. I should just keep it even simpler. Make this side way down. I don't know, does it show up on your screen?
Not really, a little
Got
bit,
it.
but
Yeah, it's because of the way I need a light shining over on this
I think
side.
get a little better now.
Okay. And then as you come around to the last side, of course, you want to end up where you started. Okay. I don't like that. Okay. Now, take your X-Acto knife. It's probably easier. See if I think it'll be. Okay. I want to cut at an angle up, going up. But I don't want it to go too straight up. I want it to go about at a 45-degree angle, maybe a little bit narrower than that, up a little bit more than that. I'm going to stick it through my box. And I'm going to cut along my line. When you get to the corner, you have to turn. Keep your knife pointed up at the same angle, hopefully.
This is bad.
Cut to the right to the corner, then turn. Whoop, come on. I'll hold it down here so you can see.
Oh, here we go.
This one I'm going to come. And now I'm back. I think not sure I remained at the exact same angle all along. I don't think I did. That corner's really funky. I don't like it, but let's see if I did it right or not. Come on. Oh, I didn't get all the way cut through here. So I'm trying to stick it back in.
Oh, I see.
And I got that corner. I didn't get this corner. It's stuck. Come on. Okay.
Ta-da.
Ta-da. So here you can see it's my top. There's no reinforcement around these four edges, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm going to do next. And you can see, here's my bottom. You know what, I'll switch cameras again. My computer's going to have some nice clay on it. It's going to be a good memory of all these classes. So you can see this one. The corners are pretty good. I will, not probably, I will smooth them a little better now that I can reach them better. You know, smooth out the edges and stuff, make it a little bit prettier. And let's see, which way does it go? So there will be one right way, right? For it
Yep.
to fit on. So it's already a little after 5. I keep setting this down on things. You talk about nicking things. Every time I look at it, I see some nick in an edge.
A fingernail mark.
Going to set that one aside. And I may even take a little bit of softer clay to do these corners just to speed things up a little bit here. I'm going to roll out my coil.
So Mary Jane, you see how the edges are kind of dipping in a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
The top will have to be dipping in also then, right? The same amount.
Well, it's cut at the same time. So it does,
Yeah.
the angle on this matches the angle on the base.
I guess what I see, I was thinking where it was cut low, that it was tilting in, but it's just that it's cut low.
No,
Got it.
it's just
Okay.
cut in,
Yeah.
cut at
See.
an angle. And
Okay.
Oh,
I'm thinking that maybe I should, okay, so I'm going to fix the coil inside here.
Mhm.
But first, I'm going to show you about putting the flange in the bottom. Because if you look at this one, right, I've put this flange. This is the cut part right here, this lighter part.
Yeah.
And then this is the flange that I've attached inside. You can see how it's attached inside
so
of the square.
not
Oh yeah, I see.
And we did the same thing with the rounded jars.
Okay.
So the way, what's the best way to, trying to keep everything from, from me bumping into it. If I just, well, I did clear off my table some, but not like I do when you come to class. So still a bit of a disaster in here. So to do the
okay.
phalange, the first thing I do is I roll my coil and then I gently flatten it. And it should be, running into everything. Ah, don't stick, heaven's sakes. What's that about? So I'm just I do it side by side. I do it from corner to corner, I should say. So one side at a time.
Can you move it up a little bit and the?
Yeah, I'm going to try to, yeah, thanks. I'm glad you're speaking up. So, you know what, maybe if I do it like, no, that doesn't help.
Mhm.
Maybe, you know what, maybe if I tip it like this. I was trying to think of how to get it at an angle so you could see what's happening. So I'm going to fit this. That still doesn't show it very well, does it?
Yeah, we can see what's going on.
Okay, I'm going to cut this to fit this length here. Or or just tear it off. And to fit this curve. So see, so it kind of fits the curve. And I'm using fresh clay because otherwise you don't, I've done it both ways, but it's much easier with fresh clay. Now it's important not to disturb as little as possible this outside part, cut part, because that's what fits your lid, right?
Mhm.
So you don't want to mess that up more than a little bit. So I'm going to score this though. This inside edge, I don't worry so much. It's the outside one. You just want to mess with it as little as possible, but everything's still soft enough that you can make it, fit back together. I'm going to score the edge of this. And slip it. Now, even after I get all this stuff, the flanges fastened on and the edges cleaned up, I will still work on it tomorrow for sure, even if I got everything done right now, had it complete, to smooth up the outside and to, adjust its shape so that it's interesting, or so that it works with the shape that it turned into. Okay, so this edge here is sticking up a little bit, but that's fine. I'm going to meet it with another piece. But first, I'm going to just tack this down here on the inside. Just by tacking it in a few places is all right. Well, I'm getting all 4 pieces done. And then I will also smooth this part together where these 2 seams meet on the top.
Wow, that looks tricky. How do you do that?
Slowly and carefully.
Yeah.
So that's where one of these
Oh, okay.
tools comes in really handy. So I
Yeah.
will press this outside part up against that just gently. Because it's going to be on the inside. This part is not going to show,
Right.
but you do want it to fit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
this flange got a little thinner on this edge. It's better if it's, but I can thin down this part too. As you work on it, you can keep modifying it so that it ends up looking nice. And it seems like there's some extra clay here that came from when I was putting clay in the corner, and just because of the way it got cut. So if you need to adjust anything. So I'll put flanges on all the sides like that. And I will seal the seams of the top. And then when you're leaving it overnight or leaving it for a while, put a Kleenex. Just throw a Kleenex over your piece and put the top on.
Ah,
I keep and don't worry about the handle until it sets up a little bit more. So after I put all the flanges on, I wrap this up very well. I will, which way does this go? Is this it? I think so. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Maybe this is it. So so it fits back on quite nicely. there probably will be some little gaps. You can fix them or not worry about them because you're going to have a little bit of unglazed clay around the edge anyway. But so before I put it to sleep for the night, I'll put a Kleenex over here and then put this on so that it will dry together, but it won't get stuck. Just in case part of it's really wet and sticky, then you aren't going to have to rip it off in the morning and upset all the work you've done.
I'm excited to do this later.
Yeah, it's fun and it's
Yeah.
quite the project. Oops, I just messed up my top again a little bit.
So Mary Jane, my box, the clay on the box is really getting quite dry.
Uh-huh.
What's the best way I need to cover it up now, with a wet towel or spritz it, or what's the best?
Spritz it and wrap it well in plastic. So here, I'll show you what I'm doing with my top. I'm not sure if I'm going to continue.
I have the Kleenex in it.
So, okay, so just spritz. I would spritz a little bit on the inside too.
Okay.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it. Don't spritz the inside, not with a Kleenex there. So, I mean, is it still pretty pliable?
It's, I mean, I can work with it, but it's definitely getting dry quickly.
Mhm.
I'd like it a little bit more moist tomorrow.
Okay, so do you have a plastic bag?
Yeah, but I was just wondering in terms of spritzing or putting a moist towel.
Right. What I was going to say was spritz inside the bag and maybe spritz the outside of your piece lightly.
Okay.
But you don't want it to get real messy either and sloppy. So that's why you don't want to put a wet towel around it. I tried that. It's really bad news.
Yeah.
I had a piece that I had carved quite a bit on, but it wasn't done, but it was really getting dry. So I put a wet sponge in the middle and then wrapped it because I thought that would be really nice. And when I came back in the morning, the whole thing had collapsed.
No.
Oh, I know. That was a good lesson. So, so a little, or just, so you can slip it in the bag and then just spritz some in the bag and wrap it. Just being wrapped in plastic it will even out the wetness because on the inside it's wetter than on the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think a little bit of spritzing is probably
Okay.
a good plan.
Okay, I'm gonna have to sign off and get ready.
Yeah.
But this is really cool. Thank you.
Good. You're so welcome.
Bye,
Excited.
Jody.
And
Yeah.
let's talk
Bye,
about
Jody. And we can talk later. You had some other questions too that you texted me about, so we can talk later about that.
okay, bye everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I'm muted.
Good.
Well, I'm going to sign off also,
Okay.
and I will review it later if I need to, and I'll work on this. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome.
Good night.
You're welcome. Have
Okay.
fun. Good night.
Yep. Bye.
Good night. So
How do I get off
Good
here?
night. And I should stop the video.
okay,
I hope that does it. Now select camera
I'm gonna
2.
go ahead and
Oh.
go to.
Yeah. And I have to figure out, I have to stop the share. Stop share. Okay. And then, is it still recording? Yeah. Geez.